wish you a wonderful day, another learning opportunity for everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to our institution of global professionals free and thank you all for joining with us right now. And my request to everyone, please stay with us till the end. My dear lovely audience, Nasti Misha, I'm your host for today, and I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. Webinar. Right now who joins us. And please, it's my humble request to everyone, share, tag, mention, and comment in each time. So dear audience, don't forget to like in our Facebook official page and subscribe our YouTube channel. So please share this in your timeline in Facebook groups, Instagram, Twitter. So let's watch together and learn. So once again, I'm Nasreen, member in IGP. Welcome you all. Every day we have so many participants who join with us, new participants. So allow me to give a little concept about it. Institution of Global Professionals serves student and community resource, providing holistic and social work and education for create a proficient generation. IGP is a leading online skill development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. We make it get and able to use for every knowledge seeker to originate personality, more ambitious, make confident to face any circumstance and develop skills. We are entrusted with international recognition. IGP is an educational institution provides social work. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. We organized our webinar, training, offline, online courses, etc. by best and trained speakers, coaches from all over the world to create a best learning platform for all of you. And our mission is to empower people with happiness. So we already successfully completed our 565 webinar. And today I'm presenting webinar number 566. And the topic is co-cultural communication and workplace diversity. So let's start our program with our GPS mantra that is feed your skills. So before inviting our speaker, let's read some comment from our active person. Okay, right now we have Sir Alex Javier Alvarez. We have Ma'am Evelyn Perry. We have Sir Joseph Nawas Lesser. We have Ma'am Sarah Youngi, Mr. Jang. We have Ma'am Gloria Vicente, Sir Joseph Nicholas Palliser. We have Ma'am Rumi Fecio, Domico, Ma'am Corazon, we have Ma'am Dizon, okay, and so many participants right now joining us. So don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in the comments. So, dear audience, let's welcome our honorable speaker from India, Sir Anurag Kumar. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
And thank you, Nisha, for introducing me. And thank you so much, IGP, for inviting me for this discussion. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation, or do I need to share it
Sir, you need to share it again.
again?
Yes, sir, it's visible now. Sir, you
Right.
can start your presentation, sir.
All right.
Thank
Right. Thank you once again. And the topic of today's discussion is co-cultural communication and workplace diversity. Right. Of today's discussion, let's make it clear as to why co-cultural communication and workplace diversity are important.
you. Sir, please unmute your microphone, sir. Sir, please unmute your microphone, sir. So please unmute your microphone. Hello, sir. Sir, unmute your microphone, sir. We cannot hear you, sir. Still, we can't hear you, sir. Sir, still we can't hear you. I think because of technical problem he is now disconnected with us. But we'll wait for him. Okay. Hello, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
now. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the interruption. What we were talking about was that the topic of today's discussion is co-cultural communication and workforce diversity, right? And I'm trying to make a point as to why this manage the diverse globalized world, right? Ethnicity come together to work together to
Sir, again you are in mute. Sir, please unmute the microphone. Hello, sir.
Okay. I hope all of you can hear me now. Right. So I was talking about the diverse workforce and how can that be managed effectively in the organizational context, right? And I'm trying to make this point again and again why managing diverse workforce is important, right? Particularly different kinds of backgrounds to work together, right? And these backgrounds, of course, can be linguistic, cultural, ethnic, racial, and religious, right? And what happens particularly is that wheresoever you move, wheresoever you go and work, the baggage of your background, right, is always carried, and that probably is that you are always rooted in your particular uh, experiences of the place where you come from, or the religion that you where you come from, or the linguistic background that you come from, right? So what happens, like, if the environment within the organization is not that of acceptance and tolerance, there could be different kinds of problems within the organization, right? So amongst or amidst such kind of an environment, working to manage the diversity becomes much more important, right? So let me begin with what do you call encompass a range of different groups categorized on the basis of ethnicity, nationality, gender, function, ability, language, religion, age, sexual orientation, economic condition, and so on, right? Diversity may also be formed on the basis of culture and intellectual ability, right? So any kind of what I could see here is that if the individual comes from or falls into the category of these different groups, right? What you call ethnicity, nationality, gender, ability, language, etc., right? And even beyond, if the person is little different from what you call the mainstream, or what you call the majority groups, right? That can be called as the diverse workforce, right? Managing diversity refers to a systematic and planned commitment on the part of the organizations to recruit and retain employees with diverse backgrounds and abilities. Now, when the people come from certain different kinds of backgrounds and work together, it becomes quite important for us to provide certain kind of in the organization for such diverse workforce. And of course, that is challenging. Of course, that's not easy, right, to manage that kind of things, right? For example, there are many theorists, many critics, many scholars who have worked in this field called diversity psychology, right? And they have managing diversity, right? Harmon says that developing strategies to manage diversity more effectively by forming an internal diversity in the organization, right? So he suggests the purpose of the team should be to respond more effectively to diverse markets and so to recruit people from various backgrounds, right? That precisely you need to look at, right? Now moving ahead, the present discussion focuses mainly on co-cultural communication model to address diversity. The rationale behind highlighting this model is diversity management in that groups understand their everyday communication practices. Now, you need to look at the difference between the majority of strategies and theories proposed by various scholars to manage diversity. And here, the kind of discussion that I'm going to make is that, and that further would be proved with a lot of theoretical examples is that most of the strategies that are adopted by organizations that come from so probably of diversity all upward what you call the administrative or the dominant perspective. Well, what happens is that the people who are actually forming the diverse groups, right, they are relegated as unimportant in the entire process, right? So the particular argument that I'm trying to make here is that if you incorporate stories the forming about certain kind of changes in the entire managing of diversity as such, right? So instead of putting, for example, a mentoring service, that is one of the scholars is proposing right here, is that you should assign certain kind of mentors to the newly joined diverse workforce so that he right, but this mentoring always comes right instead of mentoring. If the experiences of or the stories of the diverse workforce may be given more important, right, and that can help you in teaching the dominant groups about the diverse workforce and broadening their perspective and understanding towards these groups, inclusive strategy of managing diversity. What I'm calling this kind of narrating of experiences, what you call the stories by these groups, is called autoethnography, right? So this autoethnography is going to be used or proposed to be a tool to manage diverse workforce, right? Right? It enables the non-dominant group members for self-representation, negotiation, persuasion, and coexistence. Right? So these groups can become the I shall be diverse work. I'm also trying to discuss the organization structure, right, as to what Mark P. Orway calls co-cultural communication theory and what kind of things he proposes out there, what we call co-cultural communication, right? What actually co-cultural communication is that instead of calling the different groups coming from various backgrounds as marginalized groups, he calls them co-cultural. Co-cultural is the one who shares similar kind of space, right, and is not inferior and is though different, right, from the other groups within the organization, right? So it's a kind of providing more autonomy to and giving more importance what the entire idea of behind proposing this co-cultural idea by Mark P. Orway is, right? So what co-cultural communication theory does is that it focuses on how those persons traditionally marginalized in society communicate within societal structure, right? So the entire idea is that if you extend it to the organization setting, probably we would see as to how the people coming from diverse backgrounds, right? Of course, which is so we within the organizational communication is called muted group theory and standpoint theory, right? What is muted group theory? It has been proposed by Shirley and Edwin Erdner, right, who have based it on the assumption that in every society a social hierarchy exists that privileges some groups over the others, right? So, for example, if within a society there are certain groups, one is the privileged, what do you call, dominant, it automatically here is the idea not voice called the right, they are muted within the organization because probably nobody gives more importance to their experiences, to their stories, to their perspectives, probably, right? So they are these groups are largely what you call muted groups, right? Though they can be called as co-cultural groups, right? So what happens is that their perspectives are of course important within the organization, or what you call standpoint point, or voice you call predetermined to technology. Over time, the structure of this system, which reflect the worldview of dominant group members, are reinforced as the appropriate communication system for both the privileged groups and co-cultural groups. Right. So what happens is that in the entire communication structure of a society, what you find is that the unprivileged what you call co-cultural or muted groups, they are relegated as unimportant and left out and muted. Social structure of communication, I would see as to how at the unprivileged groups or muted groups, what you call diverse workforce, they communicate within the organization, right? If their perspectives and experiences are relegated as important, or they are simply treated with intolerance, right? That all depends that all determines rather the success of the organization. So, muted because their lived experiences are not represented in these dominant structures, right? That I talked about. These diverse groups are not treated well. Their experiences are not important. Their perspectives and stories are not important, right? So, standpoint theory has further contributed towards the development of co-cultural theory in many ways, as it focuses on the experiences of marginalized group members within the process of inquiry in meaningful ways. Such positioning declares different co-cultural groups. What does it mean, right? Non-dominant or co. The reason being evident in the fact that those with or without societal power have conflicting worldviews, right? That means that if you've approached to the same problem, you've approached to the same kind of thing from a dominant group perspective and a non-dominant group perspective, you probably find different kind of viewpoint, right? So the organization looks different from the perspective of the co-cultural groups and of non-dominant groups. They may not find any problems of the co-cultural groups, find any kind of representation within the organization in terms of their perspective, experiences, etc. Right? So, the value of these co-culture perspective is crucial because marginalized group members have the ability to see dominant societal structure from the positioning of kind of a non-dominant group members, right? So the world looks different when you look at from the perspective of the marginalized or the co-cultural people, right? So in the workforce, probably you are moving towards the demotivation of that kind of group. So the collective coexistence of marginalized people forms a co-culture which may be based on age, class, sex, education, ethnicity, religion, ability, affection, or sexual orientation, and other unifying elements. These could form the existence of marginalized groups. Orbe has used the term co-culture to avoid the negative or inferior connotations of past descriptions: intracultural, subordinate, inferior, minority, subculture, non-dominant, and muted group, while acknowledging the great diversity of influential culture. Right. So, co-cultural has been the term has been used to avoid any kind of negative and inferior connotations. Rather, co-culture is the kind of one who shares, right, same kind of experiences, or coexist the same kind of cultural existence. Understanding co-cultural perspective is indeed fulfilling because it has into communication process. Right? So when the dominant the perspective, you can see it with the social system as a whole, right? So you can better look at the or look at the same problem in a different manner. Right. So phenomenological method has been adopted in order to find out the existence of or the perspective of the co-cultural groups. Right. This method represents a philosophic and human science approach that constitute an avenue to provide discursive space where those traditionally muted voices can be heard. Right. So you find to the people who are muted to talk about themselves. It's a in a way for the co-cultures. They can share the experience. This method also focuses on the conscious experience of a person as she or he relates to the lived world, right? So it talks about the kind of experiences the person is living with, experiencing. It also becomes a medium for the voice of the co-researchers without necessarily manipulating, altering, or reshaping their life experiences. So one thing that you need to look at here is that when these experiences are the experiences of the co-cultural groups, they are narrated in the raw form directly, right? So that so that nothing in terms of altering or reshaping can be done about. So phenomenological uh, method adopts three steps: collection of description of lived experiences, reduction of capta into essential themes, and then hermeneutics, interpretation. Right? These are the processes that are adopted in phenomenological method, and how this method is employed in in for example in organizational context is that you allow these marginal groups to share their experiences, right? Understand their perspective, right? And then probably try to understand their cultural existence, and that would further probably uh, to result in what you call the tolerance and acceptance, right? And that probably produces certain kind of positive environment within the organization, right? So this phenomenological approach results in what you call six interrelated related factors. They are called preferred outcome, field of experience, abilities, situational context, perceived costs and rewards, and communication approach. And these are further extended in different kind of communication strategies and orientations that are adopted by the core cultural groups. They could be non-assertive assimilation, assertive assimilation, aggressive assimilation, and then non-assertive accommodation, assertive accommodation, aggressive accommodation. And then the third category is non-assertive separation, assertive separation, and aggressive separation. So you look at there are three dominant themes or orientations that come by these co-cultural groups within the organization and society at large. They are assimilation, accommodation, and separation, and the degrees may vary from non-assertive to assertive to aggressive. Right? These are the kind of orientations that are adopted by the different non-dominant or co-cultural groups, right? or in a way you can see that these are the communication strategies that are adopted by co-cultural groups when they communicate within the organization, right? Either they want to be assimilated within the organization, right? Or they want accommodation, right? Or the third one is step, they want separation, right? They wanted to be treated separately, right? They do not want to, right? Model situates the lived experiences of those persons occupying an outsider within position. Outsider within position means like they are within the structure of the organization, they are working in the organization, but they are treated as outsiders simply because of their what you call their background that they come from. Right. So the kind of background they come from, they are treated as outsider. So they are occupying a very what you call peculiar position, what you call outsider within, right? This model also provides them with a vantage point, as has been articulated by Frankenberg, that the oppressed can see with the greatest clarity not only their own position, but indeed shape of the social system as a whole, right? So they can better see. So if you want a true feedback of the organization, you could probably approach these co-cultural groups. They can better see the entire shape of the entire organization as a whole. It also offers an insightful approach to studying diversity in organizations from the perspectives of those traditionally situated on the margins of the organizational power structure, right? So it provides a different kind of an approach, different kind of a perspective to understand the organization, to understand the organization from a different perspective, what you call non-dominant perspective, or the marginal perspective, or the people of co-cultural groups perspective, etc. Right. So can be inferred from this entire discussion so far is that uh, when we treat when we talk about the managing the entire organization with the co-cultural communication perspective, we are treating organization as communication, right? So the entire existence of the organization is the existence of the communication within the organization, right? So how they are related, or what uh, what there are people who call the communication as constitutive organizations perspective that views organizations as this is a kind of view which our organization is communication from the organization, probably the organization would collapse. So the entire organization is shaped into the form of communication itself. The relationship between organization and communication is isomorphic, which treats communication and organization as monastic unity, or as the same phenomena expressed in different ways. That is, communicating is organizing, and organizing is communicating, right? So both organization and communication become synonymous in time. Both produce communication and are produced by communication, right? So you see how closely organization and communication are associated, right? Organizations represent a generic social form. Like all social systems, organizations are assumed to be fundamentally constituted by communication, and the organization is con, con, is conceptualized as an autopoietic system consisting of interconnected communicative events, which means the organization only exists as long as there's proper communication going on within the organization, right? So that success of the organization depends on kind of communication flows within the organization, right? And if you are leaving out the perspective of the co-cultural communication groups or co-cultural groups, that means probably there is a problem with the communication within the organization, and that probably uh, provides you certain kind of chances where the organization may collapse because of not accommodating the certain groups within the organization, right? Since the organization simply means that if you manage the organization, our organization as such, right? So Golnar Satri and Hortran in the article called Managing Your Diverse Workforce Through Improved Communication support the idea that managing diversity is the most appropriate strategy and improvements in supervised and subordinate communication will assist organizations towards goal, right? So it probably talks about they suggest two approaches to manage diverse workforce. Expound that mentoring and the mentee, right, to come out of the ethnocentrism and come out of their comfort zone, right? So mentoring is proposed by both of them as having certain kind of merit in managing diversity within the organization. Of course, mentoring is also a kind of, you can see, a kind of communication that takes place between the mentor and the mentee, right? And how they counsel each other. Intolerance, talks about the same things in employee treatment and mutual voices, the cultural diverse workforce. He says that they have proposed that a discursive communication method should be applied to manage diverse workforce, which has been muted by repeated silencing over time and ambiguity of policies. Right. So it's a kind of the proposed discursive communication method. The communication within the muted group may be encouraged by increasing the level of comfort and likelihood of sharing experiences of mistreatment. It can also to talk about mistreatment of silent focus group to bring about spatial autonomy, where they can voice out the mistreatment and silencing. Right. The other way can be to facilitate a system of constant feedback from employees regarding their perceived treatments in the organization. Organizations should have policies that clearly state to their employees that what behavior is inappropriate and what to do if they are mistreated and encounter such kind of behavior. Right? So they have a safe and the other is developmental. He prefers developmental approach to address diversity, which considers cultural difference positively as diversity incorporate different values, assumptions, expectations, and behavior which may offer different perspective. It can also offer to strengthen the organization through shared learning, better communication, and new perspective, right? It also suggests that through training, workshop, or skill development, right, the dominant people may understand that a way in which common problem, we talk to each other, critical literacy about each other, right, they would probably see that the kind of strange behavior of the other person is not actually strange, rather it has certain kind of cultural logic. Probably that comes from the place, the different background from where the person comes from. Mary Herman emphasizes on the need of a diverse team and shared problem-solving organization that respects all employees. The function of these diversity teams would be to promote communication, to build understanding and commitment to diversity. Through open communication with advisory panels representing women and minorities, managers can learn to understand the barriers, subtle and explicit, that limit the effectiveness of employees. Right. So you see that they're talking about that you must have talk about the understanding and diverse workforce as such. So discursive communication approach differentiates between dominant and non-dominant approaches to manage diversity, right? That means that if you look at this entire discussion so far, the entire idea of managing diverse workforce in organization rests on establishing better link between the individual and the organization, which appears to have been somehow broken because of the distinct cultural, linguistic, ethnic, and economic conditions. Ken Parry may be an appropriate method to bring about that changes that have been proposed instead, or if you look at the communication as diverse communication method, or any of these methods, probably what you find is that all of these methods are coming from what you call dominant perspective, right? Or from the perspective of the dominant group members, right? So what probably is missing is the approach to diversity from the diverse from perspective of the diverse method that is being proposed, ethnographic method, what we call autoethnographic autonomy is being proposed here, right? Now, what is autoethnography? Autoethnography has been proposed by Mary Boyle and Ken Parry, right? That's autoethnography, right? And we look at how autoethnographic autonomy can bring about change in the managing of diversity, right, in the organization. Autoethnography it privileges the individual over the subject. That means in the entire uh, discipline of autoethnography, for example, individual experiences, perspectives, and stories become more important, right, over the entire discussion. It connects individual stories to cultural issues based on autoethnographer's own experiences. But these individual stories, perspectives, and experiences are not located in isolation. Rather, they are located in his or her own experiences, what you call time talking about. So what happens like you listen to individual stories, you listen to the individual perspectives, right? And at the same time, you are being taught about, you are being being aware about the cultural background of the individual, right? So these are the stories or intricate, constitutive, and important marvels that present unique kind of perspectives and help individuals understand themselves as well as others. Right? The entire discussion. It also forms the representation that deepen our capacity to empathize with people who are different from the usual, right? So probably the dominant people would become aware about, they would be taught about the what you call the unusual behavior of an individual is has certain kind of cultural logic, right? So that gives us the idea of empathizing with them. It is self-centered, works both at the subject and as an object it bestows an individual with an unrestricted power to narrate their personal experience while governing the culture tell. So, develop an insight to understand that if to auto-ethnographically narrate the experiences, stories, and the perspective of a co-cultural group within the organization, right? That would create a kind of an environment of understanding, of of positive environment within the organization, and that could indeed diversity this discussion. Now I think the session is open for the question, queries, and your comments.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable presentation with our participants. And we will come back with you after our quiz competition session in our Q&A session, sir. So please stay with us.
Thank you, Nisha, for having me here.
Thank you, sir. My dear lovely audience, get ready for our quiz competition session. So after within a minute, we will start it. Okay, share and mention your friends in our comment. So get ready and just be. Welcome to our quiz competition, everyone. So right now we have 12 participants who joined with us. You can see the joining link in our comment box, or you can Directly go to www.slido.com and give the code that is quiz IGP. And please give your full name because that will print in the certificate. And you can also scan the QR code that is flashed on our screen. So today, top 10 will be awarded in this quiz competition session. So I'm requesting to everyone, please mention your friends in our comment box and join with us. Right now, 26 participants we have to join with us. So after the quiz competition, we will come back with our honorable speaker in our Q&A session. So also get ready for the next session too. Let me tell you that our team is still working with our website to resolve it. So after the resolves, we will provide all the webinar code. Right now we have 32 participants who joined. Thank you all for joining in this session. And you can see the joining link in our comment box. You can browse Chrome directly, type www.slido.com and give the code that is quiz IGP. And please share this with your friends. Right now we have 36 participants. And we will start it with in a few minutes. So I'm inviting our active participants right now. We're commenting in our comment box. Please join in this session. We are still waiting for our participants. Okay, get ready. Let's start. The first question: workplace diversity can access a broader range of ideas and approaches, or build hatred at work. You have to choose one option. And the time is up. The right answer is option number one, that is access a broader range of ideas and approaches. And 97% of our participants answer correctly. So in our leaderboard, we have Napoleon Torsolino on first position in our leaderboard, following Evelyn Pivaberry, following Jameline Villavera, following Rosie Source, and Gemma Benedict. So congratulations to our winners. Moving to our next question. What benefits arises from diversity in the workplace? Continuous improvement, unity, and team building are driving a fancy curve. Correct answer is option number one, and 100% of our participants answered correctly. So congratulations to all of you. Again, Napoleon Peter Solana is on first position in our leaderboard, following Evelyn P. Perry, following Rosie Taylor Source. We have Charlene Calazamaguchi and Christina Vidal. Let's see the next question. Diversity means wearing different clothes to everyone, or accepting and respecting differences. The right answer is option number two, accepting and respecting differences, and 92% of our participants choose the right answer. Now, leaderboard, again we have Napoleon Porcelino, then we have Rosie, Diasort, following Evelyn Berry, following Charlene Calzamaguchi, and Jenny Elino Soriano. So, congratulations to winners. Let's see the question. Non-verbal communication is talking without speaking or talking and speaking. The right answer is option number one. And 83% of our participants answer correctly. We have right now Rosie to the source on first position in our leader, following Evelyn Perry, on Charlie Calazzo Yamaguchi, Napoleon Salino, and Janeline Orsi. Next question. Therapeutic communication is purposeful, goal oriented, not trusting, or purposeful, goal oriented, and trusting. So the right answer is option number two, and 100% of our participants answer it correctly. We have again Napoleon B. Dorsolino on first position in our leaderboard, following Charlene Calazamaguchi, following Rosie Taylor Source. We have Janeline Borza and Christina Vidal. Next question. Communication process or cycle is sender encoding, receiver decoding message and feedback, or dialogue message, understanding and feedback. Right option is option number one, and 76% of our participants answered. We have Charlene Calzamaguchi on first position in a leaderboard, following Rosie Diaz-Source, following Christina Vidal Rosario, following Evelyn Pivaperi and Janelino Soria. So, congratulations to all of you. Into question number 7. Verbal communication is sending a message in words or communicating with oneself. So the right answer is sending a message in words, and 86% of the participants answered correctly. Okay, let's give our leaderboard. Next question is co-culture communication is calm among people of different cultures or calm among people of the same culture. Answer is option number one, the calm among different cultures, and 81% of our participants answered. Now, leaderboard we have Rosie Source, following Christina with Rosalina, in the theory, we have Janeline Source. Congratulations to our winner. Last two more questions. Next question is competent communication. Depending appropriate. Right answer is option number two, being both effective and appropriate, and 94% of the participants choose the right answer. Selena Rosie Source leading on first position. Now the leaderboard following Christina Vidal-Rosario, following Evelyn Gilberry, we have Janine Soriano and Alex Javier Alvarez. Okay, last question. What are not barriers to communication? Providing translation services or different rules? And time is up. So the right answer is option number one, providing translation services. And 76% of our participants get the correct answer. So let's see the surprise in our leaderboard. Okay, we have Rosie Diaz placed first on the leaderboard, following Christina Vidal Rosario placed second, Evelyn P. Vapuri placed third, Janeline placed fourth, Alex Javier Alvarez placed fifth. Let's see the other winners then. Okay, there's a change little. Okay, we have Jule Abernasser placed fifth, Alex Javier Alvarez placed sixth, Kiefer Rivera placed seventh, Jober Tussok placed eighth, Jacqueline Bessa placed ninth, and Ricky R. Colima placed 10th. So congratulations to our top 10 winners. Again, congratulations to our top 10 winners, the virtual clap for winners. So you can get your certificates, quiz certificates from our Facebook official page. So after the program, 15 minutes later or within, you can see the post and please collect it. So, dear audience, we are moving to our next session, that is QA session, and get ready for it. Get ready, our knowledge seeker, to ask your question to our speaker. So, address our speaker's name in our comment box. Get ready. After a short video, we will come back our speaker. Welcome, sir, once again in our Q&A session. So, dear lovely audience, please comment in our comment box, give your question, and please address our speakers. And we are waiting for your question. We have our first question from Ma'am Evelyn Weberi. Good afternoon, sir. Can diversity be preserved while establishing a unifying set of cultural symbols like language? Thank you.
Okay, can I answer it?
Yes, sir. Of course,
Good
sir.
afternoon, Evelyn. Uh, I think what you're trying to ask is that if the organization has prescribed one particular language, right, that everyone has to, adhere to, right, can diversity still be what kept intact? Answer is yes, right. So, like the language of the organization can be one, but if you respect the language of all speakers, right, and the cultural symbols, cultural artifacts, and culture still be intact, right? So it's not about the kind of practice you are accepting, but the kind of acceptance and tolerance for the culture and language of the other group members. If it is followed, I think diversity can still be managed and put up right there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Are you
much.
satisfied?
And here is our next question from Jacqueline Pessa. What are the biggest challenges in a multicultural diversity environment? Thank you, sir.
I think the biggest question or the challenge that all the organizations are facing worldwide is the idea of acceptance and tolerance, right? So most of the cultural, linguistic, racial, and religious background, and they largely suspend coming from, that produces the kind of environment of intolerance and unacceptance that further brings about the groupism, the bullying, and other kind of things within the organization, right? So if you can create simply the environment of tolerance and acceptance within the organization, I think this challenge can be mitigated.
Thank you so much, sir. So, dear knowledge seeker, please put your question in our comment box because we are still waiting for you first.
Do we have some more questions?
Yes, we have our next question from Maria Della Torre. In a cultural way of education, what's your opinion to those education in education?
Right. So the students in a particular education as subject or discipline in their university when they actually become workforce with a particular organization, right? So my answer is that if you go to work in a multicultural, multi-ethnic to work with, and even if you're not taught what you call communication, most of these organizations organize right. So the training happens at these organizations, and they have this component which you call the managing diversity, right, and managing the people from different cultural backgrounds. So probably you are taught how to respect other cultures, and you're also taught to developmentally present your culture.
Thank you so much, sir. Our next question is from our one of our active participants. Dr. Raj Narayan was the India excellent sir. Extremely knowledgeable and informative webinar. All the best. And okay, okay. Thank you for the comment. So our next question again from Maria Della Torre. How can we help those persons with disabilities in a third world countries to attain multicultural quality education?
Right. Okay. So what happens like of course, this disability also forms what you call the co-cultural group, right? Because you are coming from a particular background of disability, right? So what happens like in the country policy where you into the workforce, right? Structural support, right? Such as you have ramps for them, you have special offices for them, you have all kind of scripts, all kind of technical gadgets which support the people with diversity, right? So in fact, the government has mandated all the different organizations. There are certain kind, but what happens like there can be a gap between the government mandations are in fact training. It's human resource management, right? People, the same question of tolerance and acceptance, right, is dropped and becomes relevant, right? Yeah. So like government mandate is one thing, right? But organizational culture of acceptance and tolerance are the other. So what kind of necessary infrastructure support while the admin accepted and tolerated within the organizational structure. And I think the administration can bring about the better accommodation of people with diversity within the people with disability within the organization as such.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with our participants. And we have learned so many things from your presentation. And on this topic, we have learned so many things. So thank you, sir. And we are honored to have you here, sir.
Having me here. It was indeed a very nice experience to interact with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day, sir. So, my dear lovely audience, thank you for your response. Thank you for your participation in our every session. And once again, I'm telling you to all of you that our tech team still working with our website. So after we solve it, we will share all the webinar international webinar. And to our quiz winners, we will collect You'll get your certificates from our Facebook official page. So don't forget to celebrate with us. So dear audience, I'm inviting to all of you in our next webinar afternoon session. So don't miss it. We will be there with our another great speaker in the session. For that, I'm signing off right now.